Hello and welcome, or welcome back if you've been here before. And if you have been here before, maybe it's been a while because it's been a while since I've done a proper review video. I'm Stephen. I'm a Doctor Who fan, and I also suffer from depression. And the depression is essentially what's delayed this video for so long. But we're finally here at last. We're finally ready to review the Sea Devils. Originally, this was going to come out in March, and it's now the back end of September. But that's mental health for you. But I'm going to try my very best to keep up a more regular schedule in future. Now, those of you who have been here before know what's coming next. I have my John Pertwee action figure here because today's story under discussion is the Sea Devils, and I have my selected hat for Pertwee. If you're new here, each Doctor I have a different colour hat for, and I put the Doctor in the brim of my hat while I do the review. And ridiculous as it may seem, we all need a gimmick. And the other part of the gimmick is, of course, the song. And it's been a while since I've sung this, so let's see how we go. Oh, it's time to talk about Doctor Who. I've got the Doctor in my hat. I'll have to stay very, very, very still, or he'll fall out and go splat. Yeah. Okay. Formalities over, if you can call them formalities. Right. The Sea Devils. Now, the Sea Devils is one of those stories that brings up memories which are not necessarily just associated with the content of the story itself. I first saw this story in 1992. The BBC, in the summer of that year, and also later on the same year, in the autumn, or maybe it was spring and autumn, but anyway, in two blocks in 1992, they ran a series of repeats. And the first block started out with the Time Meddler for William Hartnell, the Mind Robber for Patrick Troughton, and then concluded with the Sea Devils for John Pertwee. And these were shown on a Friday evening. And the thing about Friday evenings in my household when I was a kid, and okay, I wasn't exactly a kid by this point. I was 18 by then, but I was still at home. I'd not gone to university yet. That would come later that year. But anyway, my grandparents used to come and visit us every Friday afternoon through to Friday evening. So when this was shown, why I'm pointing at that, when this was shown in 1992, there was an audience of 6 in our living room. There was myself, my brother Sam, who you've seen in some of my videos, my parents, and my grandma and granddad. Now, of those 6 people, only myself and my brother were Doctor Who fans. But nevertheless, everybody seemed to enjoy this particular story, whereas they'd not necessarily enjoyed the previous 2. My mum, I remember my mum at the time saying she enjoyed it because there was a decent actor playing the Doctor, which it was, I suppose, implying that some of the others weren't such good actors in her opinion. But anyway, my mum likes John Pertwee. She actually does a pretty good impersonation of Wurzel Gummidge. But anyway, that's nothing to do with this. But anyway, everybody enjoyed this story, and it was just nice sitting down as a whole family of sort of 6 watching these adventures. This story span out over 6 weeks. I suppose in some ways, John Pertwee is a bit different to some of the other Doctors. It is sort of the 20th century Doctor who reaches parts that other 20th century Doctors can't quite reach. But anyway, a bit about the story. Now, I've got a few notes because I'm so out of practice. I might need to refer to these. What have I covered? I've covered family. Now, okay. Now, another thing, while I'm on the subject of family, another thing, I was chatting with my brother over WhatsApp just before I put this video together a few days back, and he made an observation about Roger Delgado, who plays the Master, and it's in the scene where Roger Delgado's Master is watching his TV and is watching an episode of The Clangers. And for those of you who don't know, the Clangers is actually before. I don't think it was even shown in my memory on TV, but it's an early 70s children's TV show, and it's basically about. This is going to sound weird, but the main characters are a bunch of aliens. They're sort of bright pink, and they're animated, but they're sort of knitted. And I think there's something about a soup dragon in the show, and I think they live on the moon, or maybe not, maybe it's another planet. But anyway, in this scene, the Master is watching the Clangers on his TV in his prison cell, and sort of imitating the sort of whistling sounds that they make. And the prison governor at Trenchard comes in and asks him what he's watching, and the Master says in sort of dry sense of humour, it appears to be some kind of alien life form, just joking with Trenchard. And of course, Trenchard, who has absolutely no sense of humour at all, doesn't notice the joke. And he goes, "Oh, just puppets, old boy." And then the Master goes, "Oh," and this look sort of crosses his face. I describe it myself as sort of withering contempt that he has to deal with this ridiculous human being. But and I wrote this down, what my brother said, and I read out exactly what Sam said about this scene. It's the way Delgado makes a throwaway gag into a character moment. His reaction could mean almost anything. It's like watching a supremely gifted sportsman saying cricket, tennis, snooker even, execute with ease a shot that you didn't even know was possible. And that's dead right. I mean, Roger Delgado is absolutely my favourite incarnation of the Master. I mean, in the new series, I think Michelle Gomez comes fairly close, but she doesn't quite eclipse him. But they're both. What they have in common is that they can portray absolutely anything with their face, and it's just a wonderful moment. This sort of expression that crosses his face. And while we're on the subject of TV, there's also another line I noticed. This is completely throwaway. It has nothing to do with the plot of the Sea Devils, nothing to do with any kind of. It's not even a character moment, but it's when the Master asks Trenchard if he can have another TV for his bedroom. Colour, of course. I mean, that is nothing but a blatant plug to encourage the audience to go out and buy colour TV. I mean, it has no relevance to the plot whatsoever, but it's just it just amused me. Now, as for the plot itself, it's fairly simplistic. In some ways, it's like a cut out and paste Pertwee story, except instead of units being there, we've got the Royal Navy instead. And in many ways, it is a blatant remake of Doctor Who and the Silurians, just done in a slightly different way. I mean, we even have a repeat of some character moments. You've got the sort of failed negotiations between the Doctor and the Sea Devil leader, where we had the Doctor and the Silurian leader in the previous story, and it's a good story. If it wasn't for the strong family memories I have of it, it maybe wouldn't be rated quite so highly for me. I don't think it's as good as Doctor Who and the Silurians, but anything written by Malcolm Hulke for the show is pretty good because, as I've said before, with Malcolm Hulke, every one of his characters is the hero of their own story. He didn't paint in shades of black and white. It's all different greys, and even the most obnoxious character in the serial, Walker, who's the parliamentary private secretary to the whichever government minister, presumably a defence minister, parliamentary private secretary, who's bizarrely put in charge of the situation on the spot. He's quite obnoxious, very jingoistic, but in his own mind, he's doing absolutely the right thing to protect the nation and indeed the planet. All in all, it's an enjoyable story. It's not one of my favourites, but because I have such fond memories of watching it with my grandparents and my parents, perhaps the only Doctor Who story I've ever watched with so many members of my family who have all been attentive to it. It's, brings up a nice warm feeling inside. So I'll just click my notes. Is there anything else I want to say about that? Not really. Sometimes these episodes could be more about what was going on in my life than they are about the actual story. But that's what it is. That what it says on the tin. Doctor Who in mind. It's what's in my mind about a particular Doctor Who story. So now it's time to do something I've also not done for months and months, which is randomly select the next story. Okay, so here's my spreadsheet. It's been a while since you've seen this. Since you last saw it, everything up to and including Eve of the Daleks is now on it, because my rule is I will add stories 6 months after they were broadcast. So all but the most recent Jodie Whittaker episode are now qualified. Down below it, the ones with the colour stripes here, they're the ones I've already talked about, colour-coded by Doctor. Just as a reminder, there are still 3 Doctors as yet untouched. I haven't had anything by Troughton come up. I haven't had anything from the David Tennant era come up, and we haven't had either the two Paul McGann episodes. And by that I include the little mini one that came out for the 50th anniversary. So we'll go to the wheel. Here it is. We'll spin the wheel. It will generate a number between 1 and 285. Then I'll go to my spreadsheet and we'll see what's been selected. So here goes. And it has come up with number 153. So I'll go back to spreadsheet. I'll scroll up and find 153. And, oh, it's a good one. Look at that. Need to focus. 153 is Dalek from the Christopher Eccleston season. So next time I'll be talking to you about Dalek. See you next time. Bye for now.